Are we starting with finance?
We are.
Okay.
I think. Yes.
We're starting with finance, right? Okay, good. All right. Don't curse. Okay, apologies to our audience here. We needed to go into a very brief executive session, but we will begin now. I call to order the Finance Committee meeting at 6:17 p.m. I am the chairperson, Liz Muirhead. I recognize the vice chairperson, Shauna Maxwell, and committee member Bob Connect. Committee member Robin Seagreaves is excused. We move to the approval of the minutes. Recommended action. Oh, I am not logged in here. Oh, no, I am. Okay, it's just being weird. Are there any corrections, deletions, or modifications to the February 10th, 2026 Finance Committee meeting minutes? Okay. Seeing none. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say yes.
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 Okay, the minutes are so approved and will be placed on file. Give my thing a second to load here. There we go. Okay. We do have a presentation this evening. We're starting with a 2026-2027 school district budget update presented by Dr. Rabarchek and Lori Diefendorfer.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Board of School Directors, committee members, and administration. Tonight, we're going to do a brief overview of our budget development. We are just going to focus on the expenditure side for the 26-27 proposed preliminary budget. So what you see here is what we are proposing compared to last school year. So last school year's budget was $242 million. We are currently proposing $255.9 million, which is an almost $14 million change, or 5.77% increase over last year. As we prepare our budget, we look at the budget by the major object codes. And as you can see here, that's object 100, which is your salaries. The 200s are your benefits. 300s are your purchased professional and technical services. 400s are your purchased property services. 500 are your other purchased services. 600 are your supplies. 700 are your property. 800 are your other objects. And 900 are your other uses of finances, or funds, I'm sorry. And we give a kind of example of what falls into those categories. I'm not going to read through them, but this will be available for public viewing after the budget has been completed tonight for presentation, so that will be available for you to see what falls into those categories. Now, based on those categories, this is how the budget is falling out currently. For the salaries and benefits, we have a preliminary proposal of $79.7 million, which is a $2.3 million increase over last year. We have 31.4 in our purchase professional and technical services, which is 4.2 million over last year. For purchase property services, we have 3.8 million, which is about 154,000 over last year. For the other purchase services, there's $116 million, or $100,016,979, which is about 1.7 over last year. For our supplies, it's $6.3 million, which is $174,000 over last year. Property is $1.4 million, $52,000 over last year. Other objects is $17.3. That is where our interest portion of our bond, so that is a big increase of $4.2 million. That was expected with the the borrowing of the funds for the purchase for the building of the new school. And then other use of funds is 15.7. That's $1 million over last year, and that's where a principal portion of our debt service falls. So again, that's $255.9 million, or 13.9 over last year. The key budget drivers currently are increases in the 100s and 200s, which is salaries and benefits, of escalations from our contracts. We have staffing adjustments and the rising benefit cost. For our professional and technical services, increases primarily due to expanded special education support services. For the purchase property services, which is our Object 400, it is due to technology, infrastructure, and facility service needs. For other purchase services, the Object 500, its increase is primarily due to charter school tuition and our transportation cost. For Object 600, which is our supplies, that is increased primarily due to instructional materials, technology supplies, and school security needs. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the Object 700 is increases due to 700 is the planned technology equipment purchases, and then the 800s and 900s is related to our debt service. So as we're going through this, obviously we're going to continue to see some changes based on salaries and benefits. They are still under review. We are going through some contract negotiations, so that's going to impact our salaries and benefits, as well as some final staffing determinations to determine what we need as far as staff is concerned. Additionally, we will continue to look at these numbers, year-to-date actuals, and that will adjust in major cost drivers such as charter school tuition, our special ed services, transportation, and our building operations. And then we are also navigating this year for the next school year budget is the closing of 2 elementary schools and the opening of a new one. So that's causing some challenges as well. So next I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Robarczyk. He's going to go through the school budgets, which is how we develop the overall budget. This is part of what we do every year. In October, we had the school board approve the building budget allocations. We then send worksheets out to the schools, and they come back and show us how they would like to allocate the funds among their budgets. So Dr. Robarczyk, I will hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And again, you're seeing Cowan Elementary up there, and you're going, what's going on? As Ms. Diefendorfer shared, the closing of those 2 buildings, we will take Cowan and East Fallowfield, and they will merge into the new Doe Run budget. So this is obviously very preliminary in regards to how we're moving forward because of the closures and everything, but we have to establish this budget now in order to make sure we have all the funding available necessary. And as Ms. Diefendorfer mentioned, I mean, this is preliminary. I don't want everyone to see that 55 million sticker and be like, oh my goodness, this is first glance. This is the worst case scenario. This is looking at all our expenses. We haven't even talked about revenue yet. We're just talking about expenses right now. So as part of Cowan, there is a slight increase in their overall budget for their building. But again, this will be carried over to Doe Run Elementary. And again, here's the different areas that Ms. Diefendorfer was speaking of, the 300s through 800s for various pieces of the budget. And they have a reduction in their 300, but a slight increase in their purchase property service. Again, key budgets here are our lease rental hardware increase, our professional services decreasing, and our supplies, books, technology, and transportation and equipment remain level funded. So Cowan kind of remain where it is based on the number of students going over to Doe Run. And then again, there will be a summary for each of these, and I won't read each one to you, but you'll get this, and you can review it as you go through for your at your own pace. And if there's any questions, I don't encourage you. That's not what I would say. I want to encourage you to reach out if you have any questions for us. So as we go to East Fallowfield, again, 3.89% increase overall. Again, this is, pardon?
I'm sorry, it's a decrease.
Oh, decrease, I'm sorry. 3.89% decrease. And again, this is that combination of the 2 schools coming together. So an $80,000 budget down to $76,000. And you can see the different areas again where the changes are, the red being reduced and the black being increased. So an overall reduction of $3,000 for East Fallowfield. Again, key budget drivers here: professional services are decreasing, our field trip transportation decreased, supplies decreased, and our lease rental cost increased slightly by that $667. Again, another summary there of basically what I just went through. When you go to Kings Highway, They have a decrease, a slight decrease of $1,914. And again, preliminary budgets, but this is pretty good because we are increasing the number of students at Kings Highway based on the new boundaries. So the fact that we were able to stay just about even was pretty good here. Again, reductions in areas in red, increases in black. The property equipment areas, those are the ones that we're looking at because this is something that's been in the budget as a practice over years, but they haven't been spent. So we're looking to where we can reduce those items. So that's why you see a significant reduction in the property and equipment component. But we do have some, increases obviously in purchase professional and technical services of a change of $5,600. So there are other areas where there are going to be increases that may attribute to what was being spent or what was considered for property equipment that can be used in other areas to support our students overall. Our key budget drivers, capital equipment decreased, professional and technical services increased, the student fees and class trips increased, and supplies decreased slightly. Then we look at Rainbow Elementary. Again, a slight reduction by 3.51%, or $6,661. Again, the attendance area lines shifted slightly for this. This really wouldn't contribute to the decrease, but I think they're just looking at their building and trying to find where they could be more practical in their spending. So you see significant changes again in red and increases in black. Key budget drivers here are the equipment repairs and maintenance decreasing. And I want to just mention, because a lot of these you'll see the equipment repairs and maintenance decreasing, which is good, because kudos to Mr. Brazil and the facilities team have really worked hard over the last 2 to 3 years of looking at things that haven't been touched for a long time and have made those repairs. So now those slight costs are coming down, so it's nice to see, or it's being shifted over into their budget where it should be so they can address items as they come up. Our professional services are decreasing, the dues and fees decrease, and our books and materials are increasing. We do have some other programs that we're putting in place along with special ed, and then all other areas of that budget remained level from the prior year. Reeseville, a slight increase, and again, if you recall, we are moving some Callan students are going to be going to Reeseville. We put on the addition there, so they're getting about 93 new students next year based on the move and the attendance boundaries from Callan Elementary. So this would be a result of some of that increase here. Again, you can see some of the slight changes, nothing major overall. The general supplies, which I would anticipate because of the increase in number of students. And then now they are looking at property equipment. Again, these are preliminary, these are first look. So we're gonna be having discussions about what that property/equipment is actually for, so we can make sure that we're utilizing that funding appropriately. Again, supplies represent the largest increase because of the number of new students moving over. Capital equipment, needing some additional equipment to make sure the building is clean and safe. Dues and administrative expenses are decreasing, and purchase services and professional services are decreasing. We get into North Brandywine. This is the sticker shock, because when Mrs. Diefendorfer showed me this, I was like, wait a second. But this is the first year with 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. So that's the reason for that. There's increased enrollment with all 3 grades, because last year that wasn't accounted for, including all 3 grades. So now they are there. So there is a proposed change of $53,984, which seems high, but again, their population is shifting over. So again, the general supplies is where you're going to see that increase because of the number of students, so that $53,000. Supplies that, again, showing the largest increase, capital decreasing, our lease rental costs increasing, and field trip and for student technology, books and technology and all are just about remain level. Then we get into Scott. Again, same thing. There's an increase because of the 6, 7, 8 model, and they're now accounted for in all 3 grades being at the school. So an increase of just about $41,000. And you're going to see the same thing as North Brandywine. It's in the area of the general supplies. where we see the largest increase because of that enrollment. The intermediate high school, a slight increase of 3.45%, or about $7,000. And you look at their overall budget, again, general supplies moving up to be the largest increase on their overall budget. And remember, they're 9-10 for the first time. Last year's budget was still an 8-9 building, so there are different needs for different level of students. And that just reviews those key budget drivers, which you saw on that previous slide and the summary. And then we go into the high school, which is a decrease of about 35.69%. But remember, last year was 10, 11, 12. So we removed a whole grade from the building, so that indicates why there's a significant decrease overall. And it just shifted. So there's all the decreases in all the different areas based on the reduction of enrollment. Those key budget drivers, the decrease in supplies and books because we moved a whole grade over, no capital equipment or replacements for the 26-27 year, with a reduction of the 46,000, transportation printing decreased by 11,000, less students, less printing has to occur, and dues and fees decreased by 11,000. And then we have activities and athletics, which it remains at a 0 level, no increase, no decrease. The overall here, they did shift some funding around based on their proposal, where they took made a reduction in the purchase professional and technical services, but increased it in the dues and fees area. Transportation and travel increased. I do want to mention, if I can, Ms. Diefendorfer, we are having a conversation, and obviously everyone knows what's going on in the world, and we are fortunate where we did lock into oil prices at a pretty low level, considering where they've been over the last 5 days, where it's going to $125 a barrel down to $80 a barrel. So it's kind of all over the place and inconsistent. So it was nice to lock in at a lower level and be set for next year. The equipment investments increased by $19,000, athletic supplies increasing by $10,000, but those dues and fees decreasing, along with professional services decreasing, and the property services. And just the summary for that. Then we have our cyber program. So we have a slight increase of, well, actually a little bit more than a slight increase, but we consider the number of students in the enrollment of about 200 students, about 16.7%, or $6,000 overall. There we go. And as you can see, purchase services, 500, other purchase services, 500, general supplies, and dues and fees. So with the increasing enrollment that may come along with the cyber program, we want to make sure that we are sufficient in our spending and our funding for that program. And then the overall summary. Next steps. I'm going to hand it back to Mrs. Diefendorfer.
Okay, great. So as you see, we did a breakdown for each of these school budgets. So we will be doing the same thing for all of these departmental budgets as well. And usually what happens is every year we'll send out worksheets to all the schools, all the budgets, and then they come back to us with what they're looking to spend and what areas they're looking to spend in, and then we kind of take it from there. So we're just trying to show a little bit more as to the details behind where we get to our total of the $250-some million, and giving a little more detail than just, here's our numbers, this is what it looks like. We're just trying to give the back and forth comparisons as to what's changing our numbers year over year. So we will, again, show that during our departmental budget comparisons as we did with the schools. And then the next thing we'll also be looking at is our revenue overall. We'll be looking from our local resources, which we know are our property taxes, our interim taxes, income-based taxes, and our earnings on investments. We will also look at our state funding based on the proposals from our governor. We have the basic ed, special ed. We do get a transportation subsidy that we will look at, a state property tax reduction. We get retirement and Social Security subsidy that we will also look at, and then Ready to Learn grants, and then also our title funding for federal funds. So over the next couple months, this is our budget timeline. In January, the board adopted a resolution that we would stay within the Act 1 adjusted index for the district of raising taxes, which is 4.5%. It is too early in our game right now to determine what our percentage increase will be, but we do know that we have the opportunity to go to 4.5%. That's not necessarily where we will go, but that is our, the level that we can go to. Tonight we did, the first budget discussion. We will continue to do this in the months of April and May. And by June 9th, which is our special school board meeting, we will propose a final passing of the budget, which needs to be done before June 30th. Any questions based on what was presented tonight?
Yes. So first of all, I wanted to clarify that when we go building by building and look at those budgets, that does not include the personnel costs for those buildings.
No, and you'll see that on each of those slides. It starts with the 300 through 800s because the 100s and 200 is on at the administrative level.
Great. Just wanted to confirm that. And so, like, when we're looking at, for instance, the 300 level, which has a very significant increase overall of $4.2 million, and you've noted that that's primarily from expanded special education support services. That's something that we would dig into more in the subsequent presentation where you're going to compare some of those administrative line items.
Yes, that's correct. That's where we're able to look and see, we'll look at the historical data. We usually give 3 years worth of actuals to the departments and the schools so that they can have a baseline as to what, they spent over the last 3 years of actuals. And then we'll continue to look at our year-to-date numbers. I think when they got the worksheets, that was our time at November. So we will look at that throughout the budget process as to our year-to-date expenditures and determine, did they put enough in this category? Did they not put enough in this one? And then we'll make fluctuations that way.
Okay. Another question I had is when you're comparing prior year to proposed, is that the prior year budgeted or is that like the audited actual from last year? Where is that number coming from?
No, that is the prior year budget amount of $242 million.
Okay. So then looking at our expenditures report, are we concerned at all about some of these categories where the budgeted number may not be representing what we're spending this year? And is that factored in here?
Yeah, so we've accounted for, every year we start with last year's budget.
Yes.
Right, that's our starting budget that we come in with. We make the changes to the 100s and 200s based on any changes in contract, escalations.
Right.
And then we start looking at areas, energy budgets, all of that. We look at that and we incorporate that into where we're getting to our $255 million. So we're looking at, starting some factors that impact what we're looking at now. And like I said, for our interest and our principal, we anticipated that with, the borrowings that we did for the new schools.
I just, I know that in the audit, there were some areas that ended up costing us more than we had expected.
And that's always a concern, special education, charter schools, transportation areas, that we can, some of that we can't control, unfortunately, right? So we do our best estimate as to what we think it could be based on historical data and hope that we're close to what we can be. You just never know, unfortunately.
Great.
So in those 3 areas that we kind of overspent last year, what like for special education, what was the driving force behind that as far as overspending what we budgeted?
I would say it's probably, use of outside services, the IU, we use them quite a bit. I would say it's probably driven by that.
Okay, and then same thing for charter schools. We thought there were more students than we thought, or was
Can I?
Sure, go ahead.
So with charter schools, the way that the charter school formula works is it basically escalates your special education costs every year. I'm sorry, this is like my hot button issue. It escalates your special education costs every year because the numerator and the denominator don't actually match the number of students in your costs. So the special education costs that we have this year is higher than the cost that we had last year, and that's part of the driving force of of the charter school costs, because we actually have fewer students in charter schools this year than we did last year, but the charter school costs themselves have gone up because the tuition rate keeps going up because the formula keeps escalating it based on the bad math.
If you could just explain that to someone at the state and
I
get them to
mean,
change it.
been 20 years, I've been explaining it over and over again. I go to those legislative breakfasts, I sit down and pull out a pen and a paper and write it all down, and they're like, oh, wow, yeah, that's interesting, but it's DOA in the Senate, so sorry, can't help you. Yeah, but that's literally the answer I get is, I see what you're talking about, but it's DOA in the Senate, and then they move on.
And I know coming into this year, our fund balance was how much approximately?
I think it ended at like 23 million, so we did go down over last year. And remember, we had anticipated using about 6.5 million of that when we balanced the $242 million budget.
From last year.
Correct.
So 23 million, and we're supposed to be between 5 and 8%. So I'm sorry, my math just isn't that good. Are we in that?
We were within the range that we should have been, and that was in our audit, that, you know,
Okay,
we were in our, there are times where we haven't been, but we have
Right.
been for the last couple of
Okay,
years.
so we're good there, and then do we feel this year's budget will keep that around?
It's going to be tough. Yeah, it's going to be tough. So, you know,
Around that area?
we're really going to have to, you know, see where we're coming in at and see what we can do, because, you know, the more we chip away at our fund balance, the less we're going to have flexibility to do what we need to do.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from committee members on the budget presentation? Any questions from other members of the board?
I just want to add, we will post this on our website tomorrow morning so that everybody has access to the presentation.
Yes, and this is something that we typically post on the website. It's under the departments section, under business office. You'll actually see an item on the left that says budgets, and all of the information for the upcoming 2025-20, or for the upcoming budget year will be on that page. So, thank you very much for the budget presentation. Appreciate the transparency, and we'll continue this analysis as we move forward.
Sure.
So now we move into the agenda items. Letter A, financial statements. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the financial statements, bills, payables list as presented. Any questions or comments from the committee on this item? Any questions or comments from the full board? Okay, all in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. It is so moved. Letter B, the Kindergarten Jump Start Program. Recommended action that the Board of Directors approve the following positions for the Kindergarten Jump Start Program: 4 kindergarten teachers, 2 aide positions, 2 reading specialists, 1 contracted speech and language therapist, and 1 contracted occupational therapist. This program will be held July 20th to 23rd and July 27th to 30th in 2026. This program will help prepare incoming kindergarten students, and here's the best part: this program will be funded by the Coatesville Community Education Foundation. Once again this year, thank you. Any questions from the committee on this item? Any questions or comments from the full board? Okay, all in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, it is so moved. Letter C, Act 93 Employee Agreement. Recommended action that the Board of Directors approve the Act 93 or non-certified employee agreement as presented. This is an agreement that covers the 2026 to 2030 period. And it is being posted publicly so that it can be reviewed over the next 2 weeks before we go to a final approval. There's a number of changes to the plan to help bring it in line with more norms along the county. And I think we worked pretty hard to try to balance the needs of the professionals covered by this contract as well as the needs of the district. So thank you, Dr. Rabarchik, and the rest of the Act 93 team that worked with me on this. Any questions or comments from the committee members? Any questions or comments from the full board? Okay. All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
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 Okay, it is so moved. Letter D, Chester County Intermediate Unit CCIU Gordon School lease renewal. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the lease agreement with the Chester County Intermediate Unit for the lease of space at Gordon School, located at 351 Kersey Street, Coatesville, for the term of July 1st, 2026 through July 30th, 2028. Under the terms of the agreement, CCIU shall pay annual rent in the amount of $1 plus utilities in the amount of $81,039, with the utility amount to be increased annually in accordance with the Act 1 index as presented. The prior lease has been attached for comparison purposes as public comment, or as public content. A few notes from me. Someone may be wondering, why do we agree to a $1 rent when we could potentially charge market rate? In this case, we view this as the CCIU is providing a service to our community through the Head Start program that is ultimately going to save us costs in the long run by ensuring that high-risk students are better prepared for starting school. The location of this program, being in the center of Coatesville, allows it to serve the students who are most at need with very little transportation costs. We also have an agreement with the CCIU that leaves them responsible for most of the small ticket maintenance of the building, with the district only responsible for larger repairs, things like the roof, HVAC. And so it is a way for us to minimize our costs of maintaining that building while having it serve a purpose that benefits the community, helps students be more prepared to start school, which is going to make the work on our elementary school teachers a lot better. So any questions or comments from committee members? Any questions or comments from other board members? Okay. All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
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 It is so moved. Okay, letter E, Criticare Nursing Services, the service agreement extension. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the service agreement extension with Chadsford Alternacare, Inc., doing business as Criticare for the 2026-2027 school year to continue to provide healthcare staffing for our students as presented. And I'll note that the cost of the different rates of service has not changed from the prior year. And so that is a very positive item here. Any questions or comments from committee members?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
How long has Criticare provided services for us? You know?
Ms. Snyder, I believe, isn't it just, I thought it was just the second. I could be wrong.
Just the
I
second.
mean, because we use a number of different contractors to be able to reach out to get nurses and LPNs, so.
Oh, we
So you
do.
think
I'd have
this
to
is
go
the
back
second
and-
year that we've
I
used them?
believe this is the second year we've used them, yes.
But we use more than one now?
Correct.
do.
Okay,
Yes.
interesting.
There are
Okay.
other contractors that we reach out to try to retain for our buildings, because it's difficult to get nurses at this point.
Sure. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members? Any questions from the full board? Okay. All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is so moved. Okay. Letter F, Dick's Sporting Goods donation, Sports Matter grant. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the donation from Dick's Sporting Goods Foundation Sports Matter grant to Coatesville Area School District in the amount of $25,000 to be used towards items and/or projects supporting a wide range of district sports and activity programs as presented. Dick's Sporting Goods designed a Sports Matter grant with the belief in Coatesville's athletic and activities programs and understanding of the need for more resources for each sports program. Any questions from the committee members on this item?
Not a question really, but that's quite a nice grant.
It
Is
is,
that something we get frequently?
No, actually, Mr. Changer's here. Would you want to just share about this grant and how it came about?
Oh, yeah, I was actually looking for Mr. Changer or the athletic director, so, yeah.
So a
I'd
few
love for
years
you to
ago,
address
we
this.
received something similar for this grant. So Dix is kind enough, again, to offer the grant to the school district, and I believe what our intent within the athletics department is to try to connect to as many sports as possible with that 25,000. As we know, 25,000 doesn't go very far when you spread it among. So we're looking for some commonalities between programs that we can be able to best use that grant to apply for across the board.
Thank you. And I know that there is, I had asked a question about this in our prep meeting, and the athletic director and Mr. Changer had provided a list of kind of tentative ideas, which show items like facility and safety enhancements, equipment and uniforms, transportation and game day support, coaching education, and student athlete development as some of the areas of focus. And the presentation, which is public content, goes into some additional detail on each of those items. This is a framework, right? Not
Correct, yep.
None of this will be
Yes.
determined for sure until you dig into the numbers. But I think for such a significant amount, it's great to know that that you all are being very thoughtful about how we allocate this to benefit the most students possible. Did you have other questions?
No.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the full board on this? Okay. All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
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 Yes. Okay, it is so moved. Letter G, Shutterfly Lifetouch School Studios East Fallowfield Commission Check. That the Board of School Directors approve the commission check from Shutterfly Lifetouch School Studios in the amount of $352.39 to the East Fallowfield Elementary School for the Fall Individuals 2025-2026 program as presented. These are the standard commission checks that we get from all of the elementary schools. Any questions or comments from the committee? Questions or comments from the full board? Okay. All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
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 Yes. Okay, it is so moved. Letter H, Ohio Pile Prints Quarterly Royalty Check. This is from the Spiritware that is sold at local retailers. It's the amount of $116.42. Any questions or comments from the committee? Questions or comments from the full board? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, it is so moved. And finally, letter I, the creation of one extra duty art club advisor position at Reeseville. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the creation of one art club advisor for Reeseville Elementary School as a pilot program, which will pay 60 units. Unit pay is based on years of experience. Position will provide students with a new after-school activity and expand their knowledge of art. Students will go more in depth with materials that they are already using in their art classes during the day and will be able to learn more about art and expand their creativity. I believe we have a program like this at one of the other elementary schools. Is that correct? Okay, so we're expanding it to Reeseville Elementary as well. Any questions or comments from the committee on this item?
Just, I guess thank you for asking that, but my question was going to be, will all 4 elementary schools, only 2 of them have it?
It just depends on interest that comes from the students and the availability of someone running the club itself.
Okay. Is there any way, and maybe this is out there somewhere, but could we be provided a updated list of what clubs are available at what schools at this point?
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions from committee members? Any questions from the full board? Okay, all in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
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 Yes, it is so moved. Okay, we have our informational items as standard, the account code legal fees and the medical claims through January 2026. There is no old business. Is there any new business? Is there any public comment for the Finance Committee meeting? Okay. Our next meeting of the Finance Committee will be Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. And with that, I adjourn the Finance Committee at 6:56 p.m.
I'm just going to put one point of clarification for Mr. Connect because I reversed them. Credit Care has been the last 10 years. GHR has been the one we've been with for the last 2, for the nurses.
Okay.
So
Great.
So we're currently using both of them?
we are using both, yes.
Thank you. All right, we are adjourned. Next on the agenda is
I'm told so, yeah. Yep. All right, I'd like to call to order the Education Committee meeting at 6:56. My name's Steve Wilson. I'll be the chairperson. Excused members are Robin Seagreaves, chairperson, and Director Donna Rowland. I note the presence of committee members Bob Connect and Liren Yako. All right. Move on to approval of the minutes. Any committee members have any questions, concerns on the meeting minutes? Seeing none, we'll move that forward to the full board. And on 3 presentations, it looks like we have an overview of comprehensive plan goals and action steps.
All right. Just a brief overview. This information was emailed to all our community members throughout the Coatesville Area School District. But I just wanted to highlight that we have concluded and have finished our plan, Building the Future for Student Success. And we will be looking at this plan now for the next 3 years as our roadmap through 2029. The one thing we did do is part of the comprehensive planning group committee is we had a subcommittee that got together and worked to develop a new mission statement, vision, and core belief. So the statements that truly reflect who we are, why we exist, and the culture of why we're committed to building for every student and family we serve. So I'm excited about that piece, that the committee was able to work through and develop a more comprehensive mission that really reflects who we are as a district. Then we have 4 goals overall. One was communication and community engagement, leadership development and stakeholder voice, teaching, learning, and academic excellence, and school safety, climate, belonging, equity, and access. So as part of that goal number 1, you can see the key priorities to the right-hand side there. We want to establish clear district-wide communication framework, define those roles, timelines, and those platforms that we are going to use to communicate, improving internal communication systems with all our students, staff, and families, expanding our structure of two-way engagement opportunities, and documenting how the feedback informs decision-making in the district for the greater whole of our community. And then increasing the participation in district and school events by 15% and maintaining at least 20 active community partnerships. We are currently engaged with a process called Community Connections that Ms. Matter has helped support, that we started last year talking about this because we really wanted to find a way to build all these different organizations that are supporting our district and bringing them together as one to talk about how they're supporting our students and our community as a whole. So we've had one Community Connections event, and we're about to have a second, but this will be expanded over the course of the next few years as we continue to look for different ways of supporting our students in a positive way so they can grow. Our goal number 2 is that leadership development and stakeholder voice. We want to implement vertical leadership teams in 100% of our schools, provide leadership and advocacy training, increase our student participation in leadership and mediation programs, documenting our stakeholder input and decisions related to climate safety instruction and operations, and establishing and sustaining a district advisory board, advocacy board that we will look to put together starting this summer. Then we have goal 3, that teaching, learning, and academic excellence, implementing that district-wide student engagement model, providing annual professional learning and evidence-based research with our programs that are currently in place and expanding the curriculum. Really looking to expand our multi-tier system of supports, our MTSS, and the high impact of tutoring to serve at least 500 of our students annually. We do have some schools that currently have tutoring programs. We want to expand that to the broader of all our schools, so it's available for students. Increasing enrichment opportunities and extracurricular participation, and establishing at least 20 partnerships that provide mentoring, internships, and real-world experiences. We are about to encounter a really exciting time in our district And I have to attribute thanks to Mr. Changer and his group, Ms. Thompson and Mrs. Lewis over at the high school. We are about to get ready to have a ribbon cutting very soon, right, Mr. Changer? I keep asking when. I know that we're waiting for a few little final items to come through, but we're opening a college career and community center that students are already accessing to some degree, but we're going to make sure that every student has access to that community center that's located in the high school, and making sure that they have a pathway that they're focused on as they look to their graduation. So we're very excited about that. So look for information to come up about that soon. And then our final goal is that school safety, climate, belonging, equity, and access. So implementing district-wide behavior expectations and our safety protocols, increasing the mentoring and peer mediation with student support, conducting district-wide access audits, and removing at least 3 identified barriers annually for our students so they can access all the programs without any concern whatsoever, increasing our participation in multilingual learners and historically underserved students in our programs and extracurriculars, and expanding our family engagement and climate and safety initiatives. I really can't say enough about the parent and family engagement opportunities. We really want to build on those. It's very important as part of our federal funding as well. But we just really want to bring our families together to be more engaged with their students' learning, because the research indicates the more parents are involved in their students' learning, the more the success they're going to have each and every day. So those are the goals and the objectives of what we hope to do, the priorities. So please take a look at it. If you have any feedback, please feel free to email us and let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Barczyk. And just a shout out to everyone that was involved in the district planning. Anyone here tonight that was part of that? We have a couple, some in the back.
Keep going, the whole back row too.
There we go. Yeah, it's a lot of time, a lot of investment after hours. So just a huge thank you to everyone that's here. I know a couple board members were part of that as well. Thank you so much for all the time you put into that.
And you bring up a good point. The participation, not just our administration, principals, teachers, but our community. We had approximately 50 members at every meeting, except for one that had to get rescheduled. So I think it just messed with everyone's schedule. But the fact that we had that kind of showing at every meeting to help develop these goals and action plans was really just a true sign of the community pride we have.
Excellent. All right, moving on to agenda items. Agenda item A, 806 Technologies Title I Crate Renewal, 2026-27. Recommended that the Board of School Directors approve the Title I Crate District Renewal for federal programs, documentation for the district, and for 8 campus renewals for $5,400 as presented. And note that there's no cost increase. Any committee members have any questions, comments on this?
I just have a question. What is this? Can you explain? I'm
Sure.
sorry.
No,
I've read it 3
that's
times
fine.
and I don't know what I'm.
So maintaining the records of everything you have to do for compliance with federal programming gets really complicated and gets really busy. So each of the schools has this, it's called Title I Crate. It's an electronic organizer for all your documents, memorializing all your meetings, and making sure that you're in compliance with all the necessary components that are required of you for having the federal funds.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Full board? Questions for any other members? Okay. To committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full meeting, please say yes.
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 Yes. This item will be moved forward to the full agenda. Moving on to agenda item B, News Bank renewal for the 2026-2027 school year. Recommended that the school board of directors approve the News Bank renewal for $7,035 for the 2026 school year as presented. This is the comprehensive digital resource that provides students and teachers with access to thousands of reliable new sources, including newspapers, news wires, videos, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to read the full. Committee members, any questions on this one? This is a renewal, got rave reviews from this past year.
Did it really?
It really did.
Oh, great. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that wasn't sarcasm.
I thought you were just.
Full board, any questions? No. All right. Committee members, all in favor of moving this on to the full board meeting, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, this will be moved on to the full board meeting. Moving on to C, EF Jet Bounce Rental Agreement, confirmation for PBIS end-of-year celebration. Recommended that the school board directors approve the agreement with Jets Bounce Party Rentals for East Fallowfield as presented. Any questions from committee members, comments? Any questions from full board? Okay, hearing none. To committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full meeting, please say yes.
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 Yes. Okay, be moved forward. On to D, North Brandywine out-of-state field trip. Recommended that the Board of School Directors approve the out-of-state field trip plan for North Brandywine 8th graders as presented. Any questions from committee members? Full board?
Can I just ask a quick question? Do we still, just popped in my head, our middle schools still go to Williamsburg? I know I'm dating myself. No.
Not that I know of, no. No, not in the 3 years I've been here. I think during COVID, everything,
sure.
all the trips kind of
Yeah, no, I
brought back, so.
In fact, I think I've noticed that we've had an uptick in field trips this year. And I think we're easing our way back into it.
Did I ask full board? Did I invite you all for? No questions? Okay, to committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting, please say yes.
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 Yes. This will be moved forward to the full board agenda. Okay, moving on to letter E, Raiderbots overnight field trip. That the Board of School Directors ratify an overnight field trip for Coatesville Raiderbot robotics team in March 2026. The team qualified for this championship tournament on the weekend of February 14th and 15th, 2026, as presented. Coatesville Robotics Club qualified for the Pennsylvania FTC Championship. There's no cost to this. Students and parents will be responsible for paying hotel and accommodations and food costs. Any questions from committee members?
No, but a quick comment. So the Raiderbots expanded this past year. As you know, we added an additional coach. There were 3 teams, and I am happy to announce that 2 out of the 3 teams are going to states. So we'll be recognizing them in April as well. So good luck to them.
Awesome. We can, that's pretty. They've been recognized before, and I'm sure will be recognized again. Any other questions from full?
Hi, my name is Julia. Me and Davis are both on the Coatesville Raiderbots robotics team clubs, and it's this weekend. It's pretty far. It's an hour drive, but the event is live streamed on the FTC YouTube channel. So if you're curious to see like what we do and how like the robots work, you can watch it anytime. Even if it's over, you can still watch it. So just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll just jump in. I did go to the event that you all hosted at the high school where you qualified for states. And I got to see the team in action, and it's just so impressive, the level of programming that was needed and then the tactics that they actually use in the competition itself. So I highly encourage folks to tune in and wish them well at states.
Thank you. All right, committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting, please say yes.
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 Yes. This item will be moved to full board meeting agenda. Moving on to F, 2026 AP reader registration for Michael Williamson. Recommended that the school board directors approve Michael Williamson to attend the AP grading practices and procedures for instruction in AP courses as directed. He has been chosen as an early reader charged with developing rubrics for essay questions. The cost to the district would be for a substitute for 6 days. Any questions from committee members or comments? Any questions from full board or comments? Hearing none, to committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, this item will be moved forward to the full board agenda. Moving on to agenda item G, advertising on the athletic field, stadium, multipurpose, softball, and baseball fields. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the advertising for the athletic fields as presented. Committee members, any questions or comments regarding this?
I do.
All right.
I'm just questioning why it's on this agenda. Is there for education? Wouldn't it be under operations or policy? Educate me.
Since we're on education.
It wouldn't come on to policy, but there is a question whether it could be either here or on operations. So we'll look at that.
Yeah.
For next time, for sure. And
Awesome.
make the corrections needed.
And this is, when we do this each year, I have never seen this. Yeah, have we done this?
I've seen it before,
And then we've nixed
it's
it.
it's been questioned not because we don't want to approve it.
Right.
But because the way that it appears to us, these should be approved without having to come through us as per the policy.
Yeah.
And I think where we left it last year was we approved it anyway because when we didn't
Oh, great.
approve it, it caused consternation as if it couldn't go forward.
Right.
So I think the clarification on why it's approved, because the advertising funds received, the Booster Club is asking to have those funds go to the Booster Club and not the district. The policy reads, I believe, that the district gets the funds. So that's at least it used to be, that's the deviation from the policy, is that the funds go to the Booster Club and not to the school district general fund or anything of that nature. So
Okay.
that's the exception to the policy.
Okay, I think a lot of us just want to make it easy for our boosters to get that
Right.
money and not hold it up in any way, because that is a good way for our teams to make money
Right.
when they can't. And it feels like this is just a holdup for us.
That's-
And I know that Mrs. Seagreaves has asked this question several times. So I just want to make sure, not just why it's in education, but why, yeah, and maybe it's a policy review that we have to do. Absolutely. Sorry, we're just talking through that. That's what I just remember that we've seen this before.
We have.
So these are sponsorships that our booster clubs are gathering, and they want to put signs up in the stadium or the baseball field or
Yes.
wherever.
Yep.
And they're going to get the money from it.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep. And the signs conform to our policy.
Yes. So we're going to look at that.
For now, but
Okay, okay.
So for now, can we put this through?
Yes.
To
I
not
think
hold
so.
this
I
up?
think so.
Okay.
Is that a yes? Yeah, that's a yes for me.
I would say yes, that you put it through for right now. We will look
Review
to
it.
the policy, but we're also, I know we as a board have discussed booster as one
Right.
of those
We have to go
pieces
through
that we
that.
have to review, so
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other
it could
board
be
members?
included as part of that.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, this is something that I think most of us agree with, including the booster organization getting the money. I think the question is more of a procedural one.
I agree. I think that,
And if this does conform with the policy, then we won't need to approve it at the full board meeting. If it doesn't conform to the policy, we could consider approving it at the full board meeting, and maybe that's a call to us that this is a policy we need to
Absolutely.
revise, since this,
I think that's what I meant
yeah,
to get to. Sorry
it's okay.
for rambling.
No, sounds good. Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Laren. You did it. Well, to committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting, please say yes officially.
Yes.
Yes? Did you get your question? Yeah. All right, this item will be moved forward to full board meeting. All right, moving on to H, donation of LLI DRA kits. Recommendation that the Board of School Directors approve the donation of LLI and DRA kits to Material Resource Center as presented. Administration requests school board approval to dispose of outdated literacy materials, specifically the leveled literacy intervention LLI kits and the developmental reading assessment DRA kits. So these will be donated. Any questions from committee members? Any questions from full board? Okay, hearing none. To committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting, please say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so that'll be moved forward to the full board meeting. Moving on to I, board affirmation statement grade configuration changes. Recommended that the school board, that the Board of School Directors approve the grade configuration changes for the closure of Callan and East Fallowfield Elementary schools and the opening of the Doe Run Elementary K-5 as presented. grade configuration changes starting with the 2026-2027 school year for the Callan and East Fallowfield Elementary Schools, closing June 2026, and Doe Run Elementary opening 2026-27 school year. Signature of the board president is required on this one. Any questions from committee members? Any questions from full board?
Steve? I don't have a question. I just know that when we did this last year, there were some questions from the community about what this was. And especially since this year, basically 2 of these 3 look blank, I could see how it could be very confusing. This is essentially a state mandated form. We don't have a lot of discretion on what this form looks like. We don't have the ability to add a lot of context or explanatory information to it. It tells the state what grades are assigned to each building. And so with the closure of 2 of our elementary schools, Callan and East Fallowfield, the blank checkboxes essentially means there are no grades assigned to those buildings because they are being closed. And with the opening of Doe Run Elementary School, we show the full day K through 5th grade as the planned attendance for that school. So just to give that context that was requested last year when we had to do this for the changes at the intermediate high school and middle school, I thought I would add that comment.
Do you have a question as well?
No.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, to the committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting, please say yes.
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 Yes. Moving on to J, PA Education for Children and Youth Experiencing Homelessness, Agreement for 2026-27. Recommended that the School Board of Directors approve the agreement with PA's Education for Children and Youth Experiencing Homelessness for the 2026-2027 school year as presented. And if I believe this is a renewal, and the MOU has no changes on this one. Any questions from committee members?
Just a general question. How many, and I'm sure, I know sometimes the definition of homelessness is a moving target, but how many of our children each year, do you have a sense, fall under that definition?
I do not have the numbers with me tonight, but I can get that.
No, I'm just kind of wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It does vary year to year, for sure. Because students are then, when they come out of homelessness, and
Sure,
there's a
yeah.
determination of what is homelessness and then versus when they are living in a residence.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. To committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting, please say yes.
Yes.
This item will be moved forward. Moving on to K, addendum Apex extension of agreement approved not January 2023. This is the wrong date, right?
Yeah, no.
Was this the one, Dr. Rabarchek, that had the wrong?
This is actually an extension through the summer for
Yes.
the Apex for grades 9 through 12 with that contracted price of $25,000. Yeah, it's confusing. What's that? Yeah, it was originally done in
Originally was?
23,
Okay.
but this is only extended through the end of the summer.
Okay. Any questions from committee members?
How long have we used this? And is there,
Mrs. Snyder knows that answer. I know she does.
Yeah, and if Mrs. Snyder is coming to the podium, I'll just ask, my question was, what is it? And then because the subscription appears to go not just through this, appears to be like a year-round subscription, do we use it at all for credit recovery during the year, or do we only use it for summer?
So we've used this, we had when I was principal, I think it was my second or last year as principal, we got a 3-year contract. And we did use it for credit recovery. And then we were able to roll in those same seat licenses and used it for credit recovery in summer school, just for our high school students. So that's continued. The high school uses Apex for credit recovery for students, and we do the same thing for high school. But because we we had the original contract came up in March when we first signed off on that, because we were paying like a per diem student rate, so we got a better price. That's why you're seeing this renewal. And we didn't want to switch students, especially our seniors who are currently in progress in credit recovery right now. We wanted them to be able to finish that platform for the remainder of this year, with the goal being to find a universal online platform that we could use over all of our content areas for this very purpose. So that's why it's a smaller, just an extension rather than another 3-year adoption.
So can you just walk me through, when you say credit, what term we're using, credit recovery?
Correct.
And so a student is enrolled in a certain class, not necessarily a senior, but they're going to probably fail that class.
Correct.
And then at some point during the year, they are then switched to this online platform to
So it's-
receive credit?
It's primarily, during the school year, it would be for seniors. So we look, they take a look, and Mr. Chenger, if I'm wrong, jump in, but we used to take a look at seniors that are in danger of not graduating. And then we would offer them, in placement of a class that they were currently in, the ability to recover those credits through an online platform, such as Apex.
Okay. And then,
There are the other question, to answer your other question, if I am a student who is an underclassman and I don't successfully complete my social studies class during the school year, then I can enroll in credit recovery during the summer and take and earn that credit so that I can be in good standing to graduate when it's my time.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
To committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting, please say yes.
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 Okay, this item would be moved forward to full board meeting agenda. Moving on to L, Practical Assessment Exploration System Training. Recommendation that the Board of School Directors approve the Practical Assessment Exploration System Training as presented in the attached quote. This training is for the PIES lab and includes both training for new staff as well as refresher training for support staff who participated in initial training. Any questions from committee members? Any questions from full board? Okay, hearing none.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the address on this. 1445 East Lincoln Highway. What is that? Anyway, who's Dr. Kim Flint?
She's our supervisor of special ed at the secondary level.
How? Okay, secondary level. Okay. And we have one for secondary,
We
elementary?
have 4 supervisors total for the district.
Okay. And
So-
they're under the director?
Director of special ed,
Thank
correct.
you. I'm just getting confused.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. To committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes? You're on.
Yes.
All right. This item will be moved to the full board agenda. On to M. Similarly, Practical Assessment Exploration System, Scan App 5-year renewal. Recommendation that the Board of School Directors approve Practical Assessment Exploration System, Scan App for 5-year renewal, as presented in the attached quote. Okay, this is for Cash.
I thought it might be helpful for somebody to explain what this is, because I think it's pretty cool. I don't know if you want to do that, or
I'll have Ms.
Brendan
Ms.
wants
George
to-
come up
yeah, that would
and
be
share.
great.
It is a pretty cool program and what
Yes.
they do for our students.
Evening. Would you just repeat your question for me?
Yes, Ms. George, I just thought it would be helpful for the PAES lab, for you to explain what that is and the opportunity that it offers our special education students to have that and trained personnel to run it.
Sure. A number of years ago,
Can you move the mic a little closer? Sorry.
a number of years ago, is that better?
Much.
Okay, we've worked with the CCIU. They've provided the PAYS training for our students, not really training, but the PAYS experience for our students. It's about a 10-day experience there. Costs about $225 or so per day per student as we do this. Now that we have a transition coordinator, we didn't have one for a while, and so now that we have one, we've decided that doing the PAYS exploration lab is really to our benefit, and it allows more of our students to be able to participate. It really helps our students who are not attending TCHS and really have no idea or understanding of what careers may be available or accessible to them. And so the PAYS lab has a number of areas of competency, but within those areas, there are tasks. So there are about 300 tasks within the PAYS lab. Students can pick an area that they may be interested in, and then they're trained in the individual tasks within that module, if that's what they choose. What we typically will do, the scan part of it is that you collect data as you're going through this, and we provide the training, and we're working on developing our job coaches as well that provide that training and support to our students. And then the next step for this, as we develop our transition program, will be to take these students out into the community and find practice sessions for them in the community that may actually lead to jobs for them after they finish their training. So that's the whole big picture of this, how this would work.
And so the desired outcome of this is that we take some of our special education students who may be not as well equipped to pursue higher education, and we help them develop skills and identify aptitudes to vocational opportunities in the community and
Correct.
link them directly to those opportunities.
That's right. The students could be students that just need a higher level of support and instruction to other students who have no idea what they might want to do with their lives. And so it helps us to help them to develop a career path and a transition graduation path.
Love it. Thank you.
So it seems that would be a pretty important piece in the transitional planning in like an IEP.
Right. It's a huge part of their IEP. It's really what drives the IEP.
Sure. Great,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. No other questions? Okay. To committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. This item will be moved to full board meeting agenda. Moving on to N, add education, CSD staffing agreement. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the staffing agreement with Add Education as presented. This agency stipulates that after 12 months of employment, the staff may be hired by CASD directly with no fee or penalty incurred. Any questions from committee members? A little explanation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what this is doing is taking out the position where a lot of contractors have where you can't hire the individual because they've been associated with that organization. So they are actually allowing us, if they have been here for that 12 months of employment, that we can just turn them over to us as an employee. Because if not, we have the chance of losing them or them going somewhere else.
Do we use this only for long-term subs, or do we also use it for day subs?
Ms. George, this is just special ed, so
Oh, so just special ed?
it's one of the contractors that's available for special education teachers.
Teachers, okay.
So it's a contractor much like we use with CCIU or GHR, EPIC. We have a number of them. But again, this one is a little bit different in that they have made an agreement with us that even a teacher, once we have them here for a year, if we choose to hire them or if they choose that they want to be here, then we can hire them without an extra fee. Most of our contractors will charge you an extra fee to take, one of their staff and bring them on.
Yeah, so my question was, do the people that we bring in, are they like long-term subs always? Are they building subs? Do we also have day-to-day subs from this company?
No, we're not getting day-to-day subs. They're pretty much, if we have a teacher that goes out, they will come in and fill that role for
Okay.
whatever length of time we need them to. If there's a position that we can't fill, they'll try to help us find a position for that person. And then they bring a lot of, just like our other contractors, they bring our paraprofessionals, some of our behavioral staff and things like that, and they're here every day.
So in some cases, they act as like a recruiter for us.
Yes.
To some degree, this is more of the short-term and long-term subs that we're hoping to bring individuals in when we know we're going to have that absence for a period of time.
Thanks.
And that's not, and we use them because like STS can't fulfill that role?
Correct. This is just another added contractor that can do that. Because STS is more of the day-to-day subs, where this is looking for individuals to fill the longer term.
Right, and even with all of the other agencies that we contract with, they just don't have the people, so we have a number of people that we work with so that we have a better chance of getting our positions filled.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. To committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting, please say yes.
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 Yes, this item will be moved forward to the full board meeting agenda. On to O, the Vanguard School Enrollment Agreement, Addendum A3 and Addendum D2 for student ID 100247760. Recommended action the Board of School Directors approve the Vanguard School Enrollment Agreement, as I just stated. This is confidential, so we won't really open up to questions. Committee members, all in favor of moving this forward to the full board meeting agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. This will be moved forward to the full board agenda. That's it for agenda items. On to informational items. Looks like we have the CSD and CSD Charter School enrollment reports as of 2/28/2026.
Just one thing. I know you weren't here a couple months ago, and I asked this as kind of a request. Is there any way we could add one more report a month that shows us where our placed students are?
District.
Out of,
Are you saying out-of-district placements?
Out-of-district placements?
Like just the schools?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did ask that before.
Yeah, he was down in Tennessee or somewhere.
Yeah.
Or wherever,
Somewhere out of state.
wherever he was
I
that
think it was
month.
a funeral.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Varche. All right. Looks like we have no old business. Any new business?
Yes, but I'm not gonna, the last two meetings, we've talked about this financial thing that eighth graders did. Can you remind us what that was? We made Leah do it a million times. But I want to say, I just want to say that I went there on last week, and I saw all these eighth graders learning financial literacy. It was amazing, and it was like hands-on. It wasn't in the classroom. They got to feel, touch, figure out budgeting. It was an amazing program. I'm hoping that we do it earlier next year, and I hope we keep it coming.
Well, that was through a grant, through Junior Achievement, and they were wonderful. It was $40,000. The only expense we really had was the rental of the Moose Lodge, which that was my first time there. So, but the students, eighth grade students all went from both North Brandywine and Scott, and they had hands-on experience of literally coming into literally life in general of finance. They had to budget, they had to get a job, they had to get a car, they had kids, it was just like every aspect of life you can imagine, they had to budget for, and they ended up determining what their credit score was in the end, and then how much money they had at the end of the month, or the end of the year, end of the month. So it was surprising when some of the kids went, I only have $18 left. I'm like, yeah. Yes, you do. And then, then we had the other kid goes, well, I still have 500 left. It's like, because you didn't buy a car. So it was interesting to see how they all worked with each other and talked through the process of budgeting for themselves and making a finance plan for getting a credit score that they wanted to achieve. One student came up and said, I only have a credit score of 230. Is that good? I'm like, no, we may want to talk.
Shouldn't have bought that car.
No, shouldn't have bought the car. The Maserati was not in the budget. But they had a lot of fun with it. They really did. And we were talking with the people from Junior Achievement. We said not just for our middle schoolers, but for high schoolers, this would be a great event. I actually said for some of the adults, it would be a great event. So it would be nice to be able to have those opportunities. But they are looking to expand into the high school level. So we're hoping, and they really have a target on Coatesville and wanting to support us. So we're hoping that we can continue that partnership over the years. And I do have to say, I have to thank all the volunteers, because every person who was at a table for each one, for education, car, house, job, everything, they were all volunteers. Dr. Becky Doherty, our supervisor of ELA and social studies, was the main director of this event and getting it here, and just did an amazing job. And literally, we got to finally meet Mr. Doherty. He volunteered his services on the first day. So we had a lot of fun going to it and just being with the kids and seeing them work through this process. So we're hoping this continues as an annual event.
I hope that you'll bring them in to present the data from this, and so we can look at it as a pilot maybe moving forward. So it was very, very cool.
As long as there's data.
What?
As long as there's data. Liren loves her data. There's got to be. Thank you for presenting that and sharing that. That's pretty amazing. All right, there's no public comment this evening. Next meeting is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. And at this time, I'll adjourn the Education Committee meeting at 7:37.
Calling to order the Operations Committee meeting for March 10th, 2026 at 7:37 p.m. I note the presence of Vice Chair Liz Muirhead, board members Holly Charest and Shauna Maxwell, and myself, Beth Brindle. Moving on to approval of the February 10th, 2026 Operation Committee meeting minutes. Are there any questions or changes to the minutes? If not, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, moving on. We don't have any presentations tonight, so moving on to agenda items. Agenda item A, recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the proposal from U.S. Supply for the replacement water heater at the senior high school for a total cost of $12,797.78 as presented. Are there any questions from committee members or from the full board? My understanding is this is just a water heater that is replacing one that is at beyond the end of its expected life. Mr. Brazil, if you have any. I don't think we had any questions, but if you want to provide
no, this is our second, this is the number 2 water heater that's shot, and we'll be replacing it with in-house labor.
Okay, thank you. If no further questions, please say yes if you approve moving this forward to the full board.
Yes.
Yes. And agenda item B, Environmental Control Systems. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the proposal from Environmental Control Systems, Inc. to provide project management during chemical disposal of various waste projects with Republic Services at the senior high school for a total cost of $8,628 as presented. And this is disposal of materials that were used for chemistry classes again, I think. So are there any questions or comments from committee members? From the full board? Seeing none, please say yes if you approve moving this forward to the full board.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Agenda item C, Republic Services Senior High School Chemical Disposal, that the Board of School Directors approve the proposal from Republic, oh wait, that's the one I just did? Sorry. No, it's not. Sorry. Approve the proposal from Republic Services to remove and properly dispose of chemical waste alongside environmental control systems at the senior high school for a total cost of $5,286.22 as presented. Any questions or comments from committee members?
Is this in addition to the stuff from the chemistry classes? Because I'm looking at the agreement. It looks like it's mostly organic materials.
There was additional materials that they had to take care of. Last
Okay.
month, there was acetate, which is in a whole different category and very expensive to dispose of.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. If you're in favor of moving this forward to the full board, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Agenda item D, Verizon Wireless Lease Agreement. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the lease agreement between Verizon Wireless and the Coatesville Area School District to install, maintain, upgrade, replace, and operate communications equipment in which rental payments to the Coatesville Area School District from Verizon Wireless shall begin on the commencement date and be due at a total annual rental of $7,200 to be paid equally in monthly installments as presented. Are there any questions from committee members? From the board? All right, if you, committee members, if you support moving this forward to the full board, please say yes.
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 Yes. Letter E, Borough Construction, recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the change order from Borough Construction for the labor and material to install a 20,000-gallon storage tank per holding plan dated January 7th, 2026 at Doe Run Elementary for a total cost of $115,661.65 as presented. And this, my understanding is this would be a holding tank to ensure that the school has waste holding tank and can open on time because the sewer connection, am I correct, will not be complete yet?
Correct. Our sanitary will not be complete when the building opens, so this is a pump and dump, and will be completely removed once we are connected to the sewer.
All right, I was confused. I was like, I thought we were connecting to the
We
sewer. Why
are.
do we need a septic
And
tank?
This, I did clarify when speaking with Mr. Brazil last week, that this cost does include the cost of removal eventually once the project, once we no longer need it, when we're tied in. So,
Okay, thank you.
any further questions from committee members or from the full board? All right, committee members, if you approve moving this forward to the full board, please say yes.
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 Letter F, recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the vehicle listed to be placed on municipal for auction as it is no longer functional as presented. And so this is just offloading a cargo van that we can't.
Correct. This was actually the IT's van that was sitting in this parking lot for quite a while. It will not pass inspection, and therefore it's deemed unsafe for any of us to drive, or anybody, really.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members or from the full board? Seeing none, committee members, if you approve moving this forward, please say yes.
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 Letter G, that the Board of...
Can we bundle with H?
Oh, yeah, yes, it looks like we can. Thank you. Letters G and H, Edwin L. Heim Company, that the Board of School Directors approve the proposals from Edwin L. Heim Company for the installation of a new chilled water valve for classroom 233 at the senior high school and for the auditorium at the senior high school for a total cost of $12,259 for the classroom and $24,725 for the auditorium as presented.
I just want to note that we are waiting on second quotes to come in for both of those items.
Okay, so this would be a high, like a worst-case scenario would be,
Correct. And, you know, we've already done one or two of these glycol valves, and they are a safety issue, so we'd like to get them completed.
very good. Any questions from the committee? From the full board? Committee members, if you support moving this forward, please say yes.
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 Letter I, and let's see, this is a placeholder item. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the proposal for the replacement dock and ramp at the senior high school for a total cost to be determined as presented. And this, I think, was another safety and access issue.
It is a safety issue. Actually, last year, I was hoping to replace the ramp, which is in deplorable condition, and now with the frost this year, we had a pretty bad crack open up on the right-hand side of the dock. In order to get this accomplished this summer, We had to get this on this agenda this month. I did meet out there with ICS. They're going to put specs together. They're going to go out to local contractors, co-stars, vendors, and put this together to get it done this summer.
And so we'll get 3 bids as we usually
Yes.
do, and we'll go with the low
Yes.
bid. Do we have any idea of how much this is going to cost?
I do not. They're putting the specs together right now.
Okay.
And was this the project where you're able to reuse, keep the railings?
We are going to keep the railings because the railings themselves will probably be at it $75,000 to $85,000 to the cost, and
Wow.
there's nothing wrong with the railings.
So it's just the concrete?
The concrete ramp, the concrete slab on the dock, and we'll sleeve the new concrete and put the railings right in as they are today.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee members? From the full board? Seeing none, please say yes if you approve moving this forward to the full board.
Yes.
Yes. All right, letter J. J and K I will bundle together as well. They're both Crown Castle Wide Area Network lease. One is a renewal and one is a lease addition. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the lease agreement renewal between Crown Castle and the Coatesville Area School District for fiber network renewal through E-rate as attached and presented. There's no increase in cost from the previous 5-year lease. And then letter K, that the Board of School Directors approve the 1-year lease agreement between Crown Castle and the district for 3 new connections, fiber connections to Doe Run, the facilities, building, and Benner to be connected to our existing fiber network. Funding is 90% through E-rate at a cost of $6,000 per month pending E-rate approval as attached and presented. Are there any questions from the committee, from the full board? Seeing none, please say yes if you approve moving this forward.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Letter L, Riverside Technologies. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the proposal from Riverside Technologies for monitors and stands for use in the district at a total cost of $13,250 as presented. And these funds are available within the current technology budget. And with this approval, the administration also recommends that the Board of School Directors rescind the February 24th board agenda item, which approved the proposal from a different vendor, CDWG, for monitors and stands for use in the district. That one was a total cost of $17,550. So this proposal was received after we voted on the last one. They had not executed that agreement or contract yet, so this would allow us to save $4,300 for the same equipment.
Like it.
Did I explain that correctly? All right, thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? From the full board? Seeing none, please say yes if you approve moving this forward.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Letter M, Sound Thinking, Inc., the Shot Spotter Agreement. The recommended action is that the Board of School Directors approve the agreement between the Coatesville Area School District Sound Thinking, which is the Shot Spotter, and the Coatesville City Police Department for the implementation and use of Shot Spotter gunshot detection technology that expands onto the Coatesville Area Senior High School campus. So this is something that we had discussed at one of our fall meetings.
This is
and
November.
November. This technology is already in use in the city of Coatesville. There was a grant received by the Coatesville City Police through the DA's office and the state that would allow the school district to have this technology on our campus as well. That was offered to us by the police department and the DA. I do have some questions. I don't know if our solicitor has any comments or anything yet, but my first question is just the language. It says draft agreement between the district, the police department, and Sound Thinking. Is this the final agreement language, or is this sort of a agree to move the conversation forward? What?
Mr. Melchior is coming up as well
Okay,
to speak to that because he's been working back and forth with Sound Thinking.
For a very long time.
Yeah.
This is the final agreement, so if it passes through tonight, we can edit that language in there so it has agreement at the top, but that is it.
I do have some questions. I don't know if other committee members do too, but One of the questions, I remember during the presentation from ShotSpotter, and there's information on their website as well, they alluded to, like I understand this is just supposed to be recording snippets of time. It's not like continually recording, it's reacting to a sharp percussive sound like a gunshot.
Correct.
I don't see anything in the agreement that notes how long the data will be stored or when it will be deleted.
Okay.
And I feel like there are some changes in the agreement too. I don't remember what the former kind of proposal language was, but this agreement specifies that the ShotSpotter and the police department, I believe, would own the data. So just some questions around that with, again, I think I mentioned this before too. I have a son in that building. I mean, I think we all want heaven forbid, there was an incident. We all want police there as fast as possible, right? But also just thinking about, the company that owns ShotSpotter does a lot of other surveillance equipment. They would own the data. I don't see anything in the agreement that talks about how soon it would need to be deleted. Or if, would the district get reports on any incidents that were collected? With the other questions around the district's potential liability or exposure in a legal situation, if, for example, police did respond, maybe it's over a weekend or over the summer, we might not even be in session, but police respond to an incident, a child who may or may not be a student of the district, but it's on district property. If the family had any kind of action against, I don't know, law enforcement or anything, is the district?
So in regard to the notification piece, I mean, we get notified anytime. I don't want to say anytime, but we have a very good working relationship with the Coatesville City Police Department. So anytime there is any type of incident, usually involving one of our students, any type of medical piece. I mean, we've had a couple in the past month. We have a pretty good working relationship. That should continue for this. And then we will also, as our school police, we will be on that notification piece of it. I believe the district attorney spoke to that and alluded to that we would be part of that. So as notifications come through, once that gets online, we'll know. And obviously, we work for the school district, so we'll make sure that information is relayed appropriately.
And just, I think my final question, I don't know if other committee members have questions, but just, again, this is, if there were a percussive sound, an incident, a report that sounds like there's something happening, I mean, that could precipitate an armed police response to our campus. So, and I mean, of course, if it is the event of, God forbid, a school shooting, obviously we want that police response. But just, again, I just want to think about the safety of our kids and making sure that we're protecting them, not policing them, I guess is that's what mine boils down to. So just some things, I don't know if they could still be addressed in the contract, but.
Sure, so I can answer, I mean, in subsection 5, data use and privacy, it says that data will be used exclusively for public safety, criminal investigations, system performance validation. Just above that, audio data is limited to short event-triggered recordings, is not used for continuous surveillance. So I was comfortable with that. If, we could make it more specific, but I think the tricky part with that is we're playing hypotheticals right now, but if there are continuous shots or rounds fired, it may be recording for a longer period of time. So I think to sit here and say it will only last for X amount of seconds, et cetera, I think that's a difficult limitation to place on that. So we can certainly go back to the drawing board, and I can work with Mr. Melchiori and speak with the folks on the other side of this. And then to answer your liability indemnification, so the district is a political subdivision. We are subject to political subdivision immunities. one of the explicit conditions in subsection 8. We essentially are agreeing to indemnify and hold harmless each other, meaning that we won't sue one another if the kind of incident or situation you described arises. And then the final sentence to that is no party waives any immunities or protections under applicable law, meaning we would still be entitled to that for ourselves. We did add some language with regard to in the event that we receive a subpoena for some reason and somebody misunderstands, we don't own the data that the police department does, but nonetheless, if we receive a subpoena, that the police department is actually going to bear the burden of any costs to respond to that subpoena, since it would be their data.
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify, with regard to the data, not even so much of like how long a snippet, because I understand what you're saying if it were an extended event or something, but I'm more thinking about how long the data is stored, kept.
So, and here's the other, we as the owner of the property allowing the law enforcement agency to utilize our property to record or to use this device. So the issue is if it's going to be used in a criminal prosecution, we're really not in a position to tell them when they need to delete it. Sometimes those cases carry on for years and years. So that's the same kind of issue where we could try to put a limitation on it. We could try to, again, Mr. Melchiori and I could go back to the drawing board with them and try to put some type of finality on it. But again, to sit there and say that it's going to be destroyed to an extent is probably hamstringing our law enforcement partner in the basis for why they're using this.
That makes sense. I think it was even more in the presentation, and I don't remember if it was here or in executive session, but they said data recordings that are not used in, I don't remember if anybody else remembers this, but they said if it's not used in any kind of, like there was no incident caught, but it's just whatever, that part of their policy, that they said that they delete it after 48 hours or 72 hours, whatever it was.
Something very short.
So I know that that's in their policy, but if their policy changes, like, is that something we could still ask for in the document?
That's something we could still add.
Okay. Sorry, thank you. Any other members of the committee?
Yeah, I did have a question.
Go ahead.
In the presentation, and you mentioned that we would be notified in the loop, it sounded like there's an app that our officers have that they then get the same notification.
Correct.
I just didn't see any of that here, like under roles and responsibilities for Coatesville Area School District, that there was, or an obligation on the part of Sound Thinking, like that we're being given access to that.
Sure.
And I felt like that should be here, for us to have for our police officers in the district to have access to that information, which I understand is how it works. I just don't see it spelled out here.
Sure.
And I think it's important that.
I think they had it the moment Scott had it.
Right.
So you've already had it, haven't you guys had it since?
So we do not yet.
Okay.
That is that we can add that into here, that for X amount of time or whatever, our officers shall have access to blah, blah, blah. But we can definitely explore that and add that into there as a piece.
Yeah, I mean, they told us that that's what would happen, so I don't see that there would be a problem for us specifying that in the agreement. I just want to make sure that if there's something that's triggering a notification at the Coatesville Police Department, I want our officers to have that information firsthand as well and not have to be notified by the Coatesville Police Department that they're going to come to our campus because of this incident.
Sure.
I think the one thing that I'm looking at, and you touched on it, but I'm just going to come back to it, that makes me a little uncomfortable. We had long conversations in our multiple presentations about this being surveillance for noise of a gun and for nothing else. To the point that they gave us recordings of demonstrations and exhibiting how prior to the gunshot it was a single second, post-gunshot 1 to 2 seconds, I think it was. My memory's a little fuzzy. But it was explicitly stated this is solely for gunshot detection. and no audio beyond that. So in this, I'm a little concerned when I see audio limited to short, which is subjective, event-triggered recordings, and not used for continuous surveillance. I think clearly it's not used for continuous surveillance, but I think when this was presented to us multiple times, it seemed to me like they had very definitive boundaries around that moment. And this is now very subjective to short event triggers. So that makes me personally uncomfortable. I don't know about other board members, but I'm just wondering, and I know you gave an explanation already, but it still leaves me uncomfortable because that's a subjective viewpoint that could extend it beyond the gunshot itself into audio recordings of other things happening in the area.
So I will say, just giving an opinion from another board member, I felt like some of that was already described in the system description in number 2. Like that what is triggering the, the audio. Now I see you have an interest in maybe specifying out the number of seconds, but I'll also point out that they told us in the presentation, they've actually shortened the amount of time that they're retaining since they first created the technology. And so I wouldn't want to specify the durations in this agreement if best practices cause them to change that, as long as it remains consistent with best practices and not surveilling the community. That's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I'll still stand on where, it still leaves me uncomfortable. I respect what you're saying clearly and value what you're saying. It still leaves me uncomfortable to subjective human interpretation of this that could, from a law enforcement perspective, I think easily lean someone toward gaining more information than this is designed and created to do. So I'm still uncomfortable with it. And if I'm the only one, that's fine. But if there's others, I think, when it was presented to us, I thought it was pretty clear that it was going to be 1 second or 2 second prior and post in multiple presentations, so that was contained. So,
is it possible for us to explore either adding that level of specificity to the agreement if they're comfortable with that, or using that level of specificity as an example of the current policy and require that us be notified if it's changing, because we do have a right to discontinue within 30 days notice. So if that's going to change and we're uncomfortable with it, if they have to notify us, then I think that might address your concern.
I think that's totally
We can
doable.
explore it. Absolutely.
Davis, did you have a comment?
If you're done, yeah. I remember after, sorry, can you guys hear me? I don't know.
We can absolutely hear you.
After our meeting in November, I'd actually had a conversation with some of our staff and students in the building because I felt it was important that they know about this one because they are the people who are going to be directly impacted, just to get their opinions, because a lot of these people, they don't know, like, this information is available, but they don't know about it happening because they're just simply not involved, or they just want to go home and then mind about their day. And the general consensus, because this became a whole discussion in our English class, was although some do feel uncomfortable, it is something that is unfortunately necessary in this day and age. As much as we do not wish we had to do it, we have been dealing with these threats of violence and gun violence for like our entire lives. Even our freshman year for class of 26, we were going on lockdowns and having drills since the start of the year. So although this is a very pervasive issue in our society right now, generally, people felt more comfortable knowing that there is the opportunity for security to be more aware of situations as they are unfolding, and for the police, local police, to be more informed about what's going on our campus especially. And teachers, they're already our mandated reporters, so if there really is something you're not supposed to be discussing in school that is being discussed, there's a risk you're going to be caught anyways. So, although I do think that your concern is especially valid, because we do have to make sure that this information is not abused by people in power.
Yeah.
I love when you talk, Davis.
Thank you very much for that perspective. And, yeah, and I should have said, too, I'm remiss for not saying, speaking for myself, I'm appreciative of that all the work that you're doing on this, that the police department's done, that the district attorney and State Rep Dan Williams, I think, helped get the state grant. So very appreciative of it. I know that the intentions are good. I just, going back to what I ended with before, I mean, I want to make sure we're protecting our students and school community and not contributing to like surveillance state and over-policing. So I have
a question.
I'm sorry.
Is it possible to, in the contract, is it possible to put in having Sound Thinking, the company, provide us like quarterly performance summaries, including like alert counts, confirmed incidents, and then false alerts, so we can kind of get an idea of how the system is performing?
Sure. We
Okay.
can look into it, absolutely.
Mr. Melchior, is that something that we can just provide?
I believe
Because
we
we'll
should
have
be
the
able to pull that. Like I said, our collaborative relationship with the district attorney's office, the county detectives, and Coatesville City, we can definitely achieve that.
I was going to say, we could achieve putting that together.
Are there any other questions from committee members or from members of the full board? All right. And I will just, for myself, I'm comfortable with moving this forward and if there, if changes or adjustments need to be made to the agreement. But just to keep the discussion moving, I know you've been working on this a long time. So if you are in favor of moving this forward to the full board, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. All right. And that brings us to agenda item N, the FC Delco agreement. Recommended action pending legal review that the Board of School Directors approve the agreement between the Coatesville Area School District and FC Delco as presented, effective upon completion of the district solicitor's review. And here I might ask the solicitor to explain this a little bit, but my understanding is that in this situation, we are, again, agreeing to move the conversation forward. This is not agreeing to final language.
Sure. So FC Delco provided us with a very comprehensive letter of intent. I think it's important to note on the first page, under the third bullet, it does indicate that it's a non-binding effect, but essentially what you'd be asked to do, and actually I'll take a step back from that, because we are a school district and there are a lot of stakeholders that are involved at different levels. There's a lot of feedback that was collected, and so what we did in response to the initial proposal from FC Delco was we added additional terms to even this letter of intent to not frustrate the overall project or the purpose of the agreement, so they knew what items would be concrete, so to speak, moving forward, so we wouldn't be wasting anyone's time. And if it was something that ends up being feasible, then the parties essentially are agreeing to move forward together and operate in good faith to try to negotiate final terms. So I know that some of the board members may have questions or additional concerns with regard to some of the granular issues and specific operational issues. Those remain to be determined, negotiated, and then potentially finalized and agreements moving forward. That would be the final set of documents to govern the project, the use, the lease itself. So where we're at now, if this were to move forward to the end of the month, the board would essentially be approving the letter of intent and the district's position to move forward in good faith to try to finalize and define the particulars that would be related to the project and everything that goes along with it.
Thank you for that explanation. And again, I think I just want to acknowledge we've heard a lot of great feedback from the community and appreciate all of that. I think I want to acknowledge it's all been overwhelmingly positive and in support of the project. I think many of us on the board have had students who play sports or are, students here themselves. But I think, again, just wanting to make sure that, this would be a really significant change for our campus, for our, the character of the campus, the use of the campus. So just making sure that as we move forward, we're doing so carefully and deliberately and thoughtfully and not creating problems or expenses for taxpayers or for a future board and administration to deal with. So
My questions, I feel like, are more granular. I don't know if Liren, if you want to go ask any of yours, or, okay. And I think some of them, I will also just say, I think, as the solicitor mentioned, this letter of intent has been going back and forth, so it really is only within the last 24 hours that I've seen it. So I'm still.
And to be completely
Yeah.
fair to FC Delco, we just got this back to them yesterday.
Understood, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's on us.
Okay, and I didn't mean to, I'm just explaining, yeah, I may have more questions as the process goes on. But I think just making sure overall that we're that we're protecting our students and school communities' use of and access to the fields. I think it's exciting, especially, and we've heard from the members of sports teams, I think especially for the softball team that really needs a field on the campus. I think there are, again, a lot of positives here, but just things, again, that are granular. They may be in this contract. I have not been able to read it like line by line yet, or this letter of intent. But things like, I know, I understand that we would be giving dates that, here's when the school needs it for sporting events, or even things like prom, graduation. There's a musical and we need the parking that night, whatever it might be. But how do we handle things like that game got rained out, or the, changes of dates, things like that. So just some of, again, really granular questions. I think I did see that FC Delco would be responsible for things like security, parking, traffic control. But again, those are some of the things that I think will probably be addressed as we move through this, but.
I want to make it really clear that I think most of us think this is a really great opportunity for our district. And I don't think, and I feel confident in saying, I think all of us love this idea, but there's also a lot of logistics and things that we have to make sure are in line so that we're protecting our taxpayers, our students, our staff, and making sure that it's not an extra burden on our administrators either. And there's a lot of my questions, which I will not rattle off tonight. I've already given them to the administrator. A lot of them actually are more operational on the district side. So I won't bore you with those. And then thankfully you kind of explained already about how this is just a moving forward thing, and this is all going to be worked out when you actually have time to read it, and we come to the table and figure what's out, all this stuff out. So the biggest concerns are for me is making sure that our students have first priority, and making sure our community who already rent the field also are open, have the access to some extent, because I know that you guys are constantly going. You have a lot of things happening, tournaments, practices, so I just want to, and I think you're all going to figure that out, so I'm not going to bore you with that. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Are there questions from other committee members?
Yeah, I'm very favorably inclined towards this proposal, just trying to make sure that we're evaluating all of the implications and making sure we're not missing something that should be done from a protection perspective. I think two things that had come up that might warrant more of a public response, either now or in the future, maybe at the end of the month meeting. One is, there have been questions both in this meeting as well as from community members asking about what happens and what other options are available to the Kid Raider program, which would be, we think, displaced by FC Delco in the field that they currently practice on. I know that there are other options for them, but I don't know what the solution is, and I know that they were included in a meeting. So I don't know, Tony, if there's an answer to that yet, or if that's something that we're considering.
So myself and Mr. Steve Anderson, who's in the audience tonight, we actually met and kind of walked the fields over at the high school area on campus and talked about different options of what could be used. I know there's still a concern about some of the lighting areas, but there's also been conversations about, some options for that too. But it has to fit within the realm of their scope and sequence of how they operate. So we did discuss the different field options that were available at the high school campus, as well as making sure, not just for the football players, but for their youth cheerleading squads as well, and that they were taken care of. I know that FC Delco has also offered the option of using that field up by the vet hospital that's lighted as an option for practices as well. So, there are different options. We just want to make sure that everything's clearly stated and they have the land to meet their needs in order to continue their program efficiently and effectively.
Great. Thank you. I know another thing that we had talked about is wanting part of this program to be something that brought more students into football, soccer programs, whichever term you like to use, from the community. And so the proposal that we're looking at tonight specifies a philanthropic program. Is that something that we've discussed with FC Delco already, or they've agreed to? Is that something that they need to look at?
I think it's something they need to look at. I know we
Okay.
had preliminary discussions about that, and from the original proposal, and talking about, I know there's a program in place already that serves some of our students, but I know, especially Mr. Connect, you brought up, expanding that to having more opportunities for more students across the district, not just particular areas, but having some availability at a reduced or a free option.
Yeah, I think we're very excited about the proximity of this proposed program to the city of Coatesville and drawing in more students from Coatesville into the program because of that. Some of them may need philanthropic support in order to participate. And so I think it's really important for us that this not be a shiny object that they have to stand on the other side of the fence and look at, that they can be invited in and participate in it. If you'd like to.
So just to introduce myself, I've met some of you. Brian Courtney, I'm president of the board of FC Delco. We're a 501c3 organization. I've been president of the board since 2018. It's great to see that we share a lot of the same values. I'd like to think that's not by accident. I am a Coatesville native. I grew up here in Coatesville, graduated in 1994. And Coatesville is still very much a part of me. With respects to FC Delco, I can say that no kid, regardless of their ability to pay, has been excluded from our program. If you look at our mission statement, there's one key word in there, and it's accessibility. We have a financial assistance program that we support about 80 to 100 kids, every year. With our financial aid program. We just had our Black and Gold dinner, which is one of our fundraising efforts. In addition to that, I'm excited to announce, we just announced our endowment fund, and we seeded that with $7.5 million. Right now, we subsidize about 15% of the cost for every family that participates in FC Delco, and our goal is to reach 75%. So we are doing the opposite of what every other youth sports organization is doing, is raising costs. My treasurer is here, Scott McCluskey. My vice president is here, Ashton Simmons. They can attest to this. We are dead serious about making sure that kids have access to our program. One of the success stories that I love to share is a kid by the name of Juan Correa. He and his family immigrated to here from Colombia when he was about 12 years old. They didn't speak a word of English. He somehow found his way to our soccer fields. That kid is going to graduate from high school and go play Division I soccer at St. Joe's University. That doesn't happen without our involvement here. So we are super excited to go through this project with you. I will share with you that we are a little bit in a time crunch of what we're trying to accomplish. And I recognize that we are on a board. I can't make decisions on behalf of my board, nor could you, right? But I think we need to start moving a little bit faster and have a little bit more dialogue between our organizations, because we have to replace the area that we're looking to leave, which is United Sports. So we used to own 3 fields at United Sports. We were the original founders. So Steve, you know Dave Hatt very well. You played in the program. So we sold our interest in USTC, and now we're looking to, build a turf complex here in this area. I'd like to thank Brian Changer. He was very instrumental, absolutely relentless, trying to get us to the table. We first looked at Callan Elementary School, and it just didn't have enough room for us to expand. I would say about 500 to 600 kids, are participating in our programs here, and we have another 1,000 to 1,100 kids that participate in Conshohocken. If you use Conshohocken as an example, those were 2 turf fields in an industrial site that we were the first tenants to go into Conshohocken. The economic impact that we bring to a community, I cannot stress enough, is highly impactful. Millions and millions of dollars are captured by us being a part of the community. They have gone from 2 turf fields to now 8 turf fields with lights. And if you looked at Conshohocken before the fields were built to where it is today, they have seen an economic uprising that has helped, not only the people that are coming into the community, but the people that live in that community. So I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to talk about this. Again, when I look at the comprehensive plan, I see the values that you guys demonstrate. We align with those values. You guys talk about equity and access and opportunity. Those are the same things that you will see from our organization. Thank you. If there's any other questions, I know there's a lot of details that we have to go through.
There is, and
we're welcoming those details and getting those.
And I think that you guys are going to work,
Absolutely.
and I'm sure
Yes.
you'll put
you'll
work quicker.
Our objectives are not to disrupt what Coatesville's sports programs are doing. Our objectives are to obviously serve our needs at a time when Coatesville School District is not utilizing the fields, and have a collaborative relationship where we're working together to make sure that all kids have an ability to play regardless of the sport that they're playing.
Yeah. One of my biggest concerns was, as we build this, we have sports all year round. Like, it's all year round.
Mm-hmm.
We have summer camps.
Mm-hmm.
Through building it, how are we going to do our summer camps? How are we going to make sure that, all fall sports happen at the beginning of August.
Sure.
And again, those are logistics I'm sure you don't need to answer right now. But I'm going to say that I do appreciate, after our last conversation, I appreciate our administration, Dr. Robarczyk, going to all those stakeholders that weren't originally in those first meetings. I think that was really important. It was a little upsetting that we left them out because so many teams use the fields.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't just baseball,
Sure.
softball. We should have had everybody, but now that you did, and then we're also reaching out to the community members who've been using our fields. So thank you so much for making that happen. I think we've gotten a lot of feedback, great feedback. I think most of it's positive. And the concerns are just logistic concerns, right? I think everybody has it. I'm sure even you guys have it to
I
some.
have not even looked at the revised letter of intent that you sent back to me. So I got it at 2:15
Yeah.
today, at 2:15 a.m.
Well,
today.
maybe we
So,
can spend a little
yeah.
bit more time.
You weren't awake at
I was-
2:15 a.m., ready to digest it?
Ironically,
What was the
our
night before?
attorney was still awake, and I don't know why. The guy's a vampire. He doesn't sleep.
Oh, I definitely appreciate you being here and just sharing a bit of your thoughts and vision. I definitely see the alignment between the goals of your organization and what we're trying to do here. And hopefully after you review the revised letter of intent, we can get to a point where we can get a final version of it for the end of this month and get that full board approval. I think there are a lot of logistics questions. One of them is just how are we going to manage the scheduling? And it looks like there's going to be a designee from both organizations, and maybe there's an online system that we can use to coordinate. It's really important to me when we get this at the end of the month that everybody on both sides is on the same page when it comes to that. So I don't want to put you on the spot and ask you a
No,
bunch of questions when you haven't read our revisions.
I can speak to it a little bit just out of experience. So, we used to own 3 fields at, USTC that gave us rights to a number of fields. And we were there for 25 years when we owned those fields. And we always worked things out because they had other organizations and other sports that they play with. We rent, 5 fields at the proving grounds. And occasionally they will rent out the entire place, and which leaves us, having to go somewhere else to play our games on the weekends. So, it's to say that conflicts will come up.
Yeah.
But how you work through those conflicts is really what's important. And you have to have a good working relationship in order to do that. But if you don't share the same values and the same, that you're not going to be able to work through those issues regardless of what you put on a piece of paper. But I agree that we have to try and get as close to possible. I'm speaking to the solicitor. He's like, I'm an attorney. It has to be in writing. So, but, we can work through those things.
Thank you.
And we have the experience to say that we have and can.
To our administrators, I actually have a lot more confidence in the way that you guys probably have organized situation, just scheduling in general.
Yeah.
You've been doing it forever. That wasn't my concern, but they're also running an organization.
Yeah.
And they've got to be able to do that, and we've got to figure out some processes that we don't necessarily have right now.
Yeah.
So
There's going to be occasions, and I'll give you some scenarios. So, for example, like our programs typically run from 5 to 9:30 at night, which you guys are probably running from, say, 2:30 or 3 to 5, on Monday through Thursday. But there's going to be occasions where you're going to have a night game, right? So there might be a night game for baseball or a night game for softball. Well, that means that we can't train particularly on that night, but maybe we move our teams to a Friday night when it's not being used. Or, we reach out to Brian and say, hey, we can't be on this field. Can you move us to the soccer field during that time? So there's opportunities to have some flexibility in the schedule, and, like our team just got bumped this weekend, because of a scheduling error. So the scheduling errors do happen from time to time, and it's how you roll with it.
now you mentioned real quick, I'm sorry, you mentioned that we practice till 5. We haven't been doing that for at least 4 years. Because we only have one.
Sure.
Maybe Brian can speak to this. We've been practicing, because we only have one multi-purpose
field.
Thank you. I am tired. So we've had them, lacrosse have to do 3 o'clock and then 5 o'clock. So
Sure.
is that going to change? Like, are all our kids going to be able to practice right after school now?
Yeah, potentially.
Okay.
That's, if
'Cause
you have more turf fields.
That's a logistic thing that right now, for the last, as long as my kid has been in high school and longer, I mean, they've been splitting those times for that multipurpose field. I said it right.
But now you're going to have more multi-purpose fields
Right.
Yeah.
to share.
All right.
That's how we did it at USTC. So if we couldn't get this grass field because they had it rented out to somewhere else, They move us to another grass field, or they moved us to a turf field. or
Well,
they
that'll
moved
make a
us
lot of
inside.
parents happy because lots of parents didn't like dropping their kids off at 5. Even my husband was like, what the heck?
That's what the Cross is doing right now. Like,
What the
yeah,
heck?
Practice from.
Why am I taking, you,
I said this to a board member years ago, like, because they're saying, well, can we make this more convenient for parents? And I go, nothing about youth sports is convenient. Like, what are we trying to do?
It's valid.
You just roll with the punches, So, we have to try to do the best that we possibly can with the parameters that we set, but we have to understand that there's going to be conflicts from time to time. And as long as collectively your interest and our interest are aligned, and we're feeling like there's equitable treatment in this, I think we can work through those things.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee members or other board members?
Just a comment, once we get these built, my daughter plays for FC Delco. If we could get a dome over one of the fields, so I don't have to watch her play soccer in 15-degree weather in the middle of February, that would be a great next step.
I am right there with
Thank
you, Bob. I do not like those 10-degree weather games. And yes, we do play 10 to 11 months out of the year, so outdoors, so, sorry. Not happening.
All right. Any other comments or dome proposals?
Brian, thank you. This isn't actually directed toward you, but thank you for all that you shared.
Sure.
Appreciate it. I'm hearing like win-win after win-win in all of this. And I just want to come back to the Coatesville Kid Raiders. Mr. Anderson, you stood up for a second in case there was anything you wanted to say tonight, because you haven't had the opportunity. I know you met with Dr. Barczyk. We're hearing about the, girls softball coming back. We're hearing about opportunities for our community, economic development. We're hearing all this.
Right.
I would love for everyone here to walk away with a win-win. And I feel like we keep coming back to this, and we haven't heard from you. So I just want to hear what is a win-win for you?
A win-win is to keep continually working with the Coatesville School District. I understand this FC Delco agreement is something that can benefit everyone across the board, win, lose, but for our long-standing relationship with CKR in the high school, we definitely want to keep that going. I think the space up at the field, for me, is important, from being a player here in '83 to being a coach, parent, kids in the school, and now the president. Having every team located in one spot is key for a lot of the parents and the parents that have multiple kids in the organization. So let's say, and if we were at the high school a little bit, then Abdella or maybe up the VA Hill, it's a lot on the parents. So seeing a way we can get this to work with the new fields and maybe some lights to help us out and keep us there, I'm all for it. But, that's from being a parent and a player. We would like to continue to stay up here at the high school, but it just, there's some adjusting logistics has to be worked out. So, but I'm all in favor with it, but we definitely want to continue to work with you guys to see if we can work out something that helps out everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to add a comment. I'm with Coach here. I'm on the board of CKR as well. And, they've had a program for, here for a long time. I've been a part of it. My kids are a part of it. And, just thinking about, some of the commonalities for the program, FC, coming here, the difference is this is academics. We're schools. We're education. And some of the other locations where you guys have set up shop in Conshohocken, I've been down, that location's beautiful. There's not academics, not a lot of stuff going on. They're just built just for those locations, for what you guys do for 10 months out of the year. That leaves 2 months where pretty much you're not doing anything. And just the logistics, having the extra fields and things like that for, for sports events, things like that. But, the difference is we've got a system going here, that's not just sports, it's academics. Everybody's drawn to it, the community's drawn to it. And, it's something that, that can be worked out. Of course it can. I think, like Steve said, we will be looking to, have something that kind of, fits in with what we already have. But the difference of this program and, this location here, like I said, is, we've got academia going on right now at the high school. That's our bread and butter. That's who we are. To have something that come up organically from the area, is something you can kind of see it. You see the community getting involved, things like that. So, I just ask that, you take a really look at, yes, they're very successful, and the community would blossom, all the, things here, people coming in, traveling in, our gas stations, our local stores, our food places, staying afterwards. I mean, it really is a big picture. It really is a big picture. So, I just wanted to kind of paint the picture that, our location is different from the locations they've set up before. So, because of what those locations are. United Sports Center is basically just for that, where we've got a lot of other stuff going on, not just that. So I just wanted to add that. And my name's Tom Hadley. I'm Vice President of CKR. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to speak to Kid Red Raiders, we actually just met tonight for the first time. So, we've actually, you referenced the Callan Park West, which is by the VA fields. So those are fields that we currently maintain, have lights there. So, so we're open to all suggestions with respect to the Kid Red Raiders. And, we want to make sure that you guys are taken care of as well. So, yeah.
Thank you. All right, any other questions from the board? Seeing none, members of the committee, please say yes if you approve of advancing this conversation to the full board meeting, this letter of intent to the full board meeting.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. All right, thank you. So that concludes our agenda items. We have no informational items tonight. Any old business? Any new business? Public comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, we do have public comment tonight. The board has requested all persons making comments on agenda items list their name, address, telephone number, and motion items. There is a 3-minute limit per person. The board does not take action or discuss items not appearing on the agenda. The board values public comments and wishes to convey that although board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda, we listen carefully and appreciate and value input from the public. Our first speaker is Megan Wimmer, and it's regarding the FC Delco project.
Good evening. My name is Megan Wimmer, and I'm here representing the Coatesville softball program, both the booster club, the coaches, and the team, as well as speaking on behalf of our baseball program. We would like to express our support on the campus turf field project with FC Delco. The addition of these turf fields at the Coatesville High School campus, along with the lighting, the dugouts, seating areas, and the community that will be gathered, would create a premier athletic facility complex, not only in the Chestmont League, but also in the greater Philadelphia region, possibly even in the state of Pennsylvania. We haven't gone so far to look, but there are not many high school campuses that would have facilities of this nature. The completion of this project would allow the softball team to come back onto the high school campus for their night games. As you know, we currently play them at Callan Park due to the lack of lighting, dugouts, and other facilities that are available at our high school campus. You also might remember that in August of last year, the baseball and softball booster clubs informed the board of our intent to build an indoor training facility for the baseball and softball programs. We have put that project a bit on hold once we learned about the FC Delco project, so that we were designing a space on campus that worked with the turf field project. So with the addition of the indoor facility as well as the turf fields, we believe that will even further elevate the ability of our athletes to train year-round at these premier facilities. By investing in these fields, I think you've all shared, we are investing in our student athletes. And you can appreciate that these fields do much more than teach our athletes life skills, or more than sports, they teach them life skills. It's really the dedication, the responsibility, and the leadership that they learn every day as they play on those fields. These fields also, as we've noted, becomes a place for community gatherings. It's where families can congregate and where younger athletes and students can come to be inspired and look up to our high school athletes. These fields also become a place where friendships are made. And most of our memories of high school sports are made on these fields. Years from now, our teams may not remember the score of the game, they might not remember the batting average, they might not remember what happened, but they will certainly remember running out onto these premier fields in their Coatesville uniform, hearing the community behind them. It's now on us to work through all these details quickly and give our student athletes the experience that they deserve. The softball and baseball programs appreciate the diligence that you are putting into this project and respectfully request that we work through the details together. The softball and baseball programs would like to be kept informed of the proposed designs and implementation plans so that we can consider our training of our athletes as we move not only through this season, but also future seasons. The baseball and softball programs are here and happy to provide any expertise or feedback on the project as you move forward. There is one question that we have as we look at the letter of intent that is sitting on the agenda tonight, and that is, will the baseball fields be completely turfed, including the infield, or will it just be the outfield? We look forward to working together and bringing this project to life. Thank you.
Thank you. And the other speaker, I think maybe did already speak, but if you'd like to take time for public comment, Brian Courtney. Okay, thank you. I thought it was, yeah. If you have.
Don't give it to me. No, to answer your question.
They can't hear you on the live stream if you don't, so.
Then take it. All right, I'll take it. The entire turf complex. So not just, it would make no sense to not do the infield or do the outfield and not do the infield. So, that's our intent.
Thank you. And that is all for public comment. Our next meeting of the Operations Committee will be Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. And with that, we adjourn the Operations Committee meeting at 8:42 p.m.
One second. And I'm going to excuse the student representatives because it's almost 9. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.
Okay, yep.
Okay. All right, good evening. I would like to call to order the Policy Committee beginning at 8:43. My name is Holly Charest. I am the chairperson. I note the presence of committee members Liren Yacco and Beth Brindle. Donna Rowland is excused for this evening. Moving on to agenda item 2, approval of the minutes. We are looking for approval of the February 10th, 2026 Policy Committee meeting minutes. To my colleagues on the committee, are there any questions or items that need to be modified? No. To the rest of the board, any questions or items you feel need to be modified? Seeing none, please say yes if you would like to move these minutes into public record.
Yes.
Yes. And yes. Okay, there are no presentations this evening, so we are going to proceed forward with agenda items. First one, letter A, that the Board of School Directors approve the policy, the adjustments to policy 218.1, weapons. This is a first read. The items that have been modified on this is a updated language regarding incident reporting requirements as per Act 47/24 of the Public School Code. And that states the superintendent or designee shall notify additional appropriate parties of incidents involving the possession of a weapon as required by state law. Do any of our committee members have questions regarding this policy? No? Is there anybody on the full board that would like to ask questions about this policy? Okay. Seeing none, please say yes if you would like to move this forward for a second reading.
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry.
And yes. Okay, letter B, Board Policy 709, Building Security, first read. So the modifications for this particular policy, the formatting has been updated, where it was previously listed as the Director of School and Public Safety has now been changed to the Safety and Security Coordinator. The additional item that has been changed is where it was use of a video cameras section has been modified to use of recording devices and replaced with video cameras and with audio and visual recording devices. And then there is an added subsection prohibiting visitors from using audio or visual recording devices in non-public district spaces. Non-public is defined for the purpose of this policy. Committee members, do you have any questions about this policy? Okay, other members of the board, any questions about this policy? All right, seeing none, please say yes if you'd like to move this policy forward for a second read.
Yes. I think she said yes at the same time.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yes. And yes. Letter C, Board Policy 907, School Visitors. This is a first read for this policy. The modifications to this policy are as followed. There is a new section with the same language as Policy 709, which we were just covering, and that is prohibiting the use of audio or visual recording devices in non-public areas on district property. So I also want to note that there is a carve-out for permitted audio or visual recordings, quote, as otherwise designated in board policy, and that will allow for approved recordings of meetings between parents and guardians and district teachers, paraprofessionals, program specialists, consultants, or administrators in limited circumstances as set forth in revised language under Policy 113 of Special Education. So if there is a circumstance that requires say, an IEP meeting to require recording, that is all covered in the modifications of this policy and also in Policy 113. Members of the committee, any questions or comments about this policy?
I do, only maybe you can just define it for me. Is it just for special ed meetings? Because for somebody who has, I don't process very well sometimes, and there's been several cases where I want to talk to an administrator and record it just so that I can then take notes from it, because it's hard for me sometimes to just retain it.
So, yeah, actually, I'll have to.
And I'm not saying we should do it just because I need it, but it's.
No, and the consideration, so I'll take a step back. Last month, 113 was brought forward for a first read. It's on for a second read and adoption this month. And initially, the issue of recording in those meetings was addressed. One of the subset of allowable reasons for recording is based on some type of a need that may be medical, disability related, et cetera. But it's just not a carte blanche authorization to record.
Makes sense. Okay.
So I think if there's a disability related need, that's certainly going to be a carve out. I double check though to see, because I believe the explicit prohibition that was added to both 907 and 709 really just relates to recording in non-public areas.
Okay.
Which
would be in a meeting.
Which would potentially, but it would have to be, I think we probably have to go back and add a carve-out for that in 709 and 907.
I'm not trying to be difficult.
No, no, because that wasn't the intent.
Yeah. I just remember, I feel like you and I.
Well, so it is without the express consent of the superintendent or designee, or as otherwise designated in board policy. So we can add a carve-out for that to make it explicit, but from my perspective,
Yeah.
if there's an issue with some type of a medical issue or disability-related issue, we would be obligated to allow that if it was necessary. So we can add it, though, and
You're not on.
obviously there needs to be notification and consent for that. I just want to make sure that if somebody requests that there's an obligation, like that we can't have an administrator like capriciously deny that because they're uncomfortable with the session being recorded if the individual needs the recording in order to
Sure.
make sure that, the students' rights are being met.
I mean, it's happened. It's happened to me, so like,
Yeah.
and
If our intent is to avoid that, I think more clarity would be better.
yeah.
we can add, I mean, it's really maybe a sentence at most as a qualifier that
Perfect.
we can add before this goes
To the
the
full
end-
board?
to
Can
the
it
end
be
of the
added
month
before
meeting.
the full board?
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Please say yes if you would like to move this forward for a second reading.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, items D, E, F, G, and H, policy 113, policy 113.3, policy 204, policy 903, and policy 916 are all listed for second reading. To my committee members, are there any questions regarding these 5 policies? Anybody from the full board, questions about these policies?
Yes, policy 903, in the statement, in the public comment statement, introductory statement, that section, it says the first session is limited to no more than 1 hour and the second session will be limited to no more than 30 minutes. But if you go further up in the document, it says under public comment sessions, the first public comment session shall be limited to 30 minutes in length. So are we limiting it to 30 minutes in length or an hour?
I'm sorry, I don't, okay, I'm sorry, introductory statement is what you're, and I'm sorry, Ms. Muir, so we're comparing introductory statement,
To public comment sessions,
To
which
pub-
is above it. So public comment sessions, it says the first public comment session shall be limited to 30 minutes. And an introductory statement, the introductory statement says the first session is limited to no more than 1 hour.
I see that distinction. I feel like, I thought we addressed this last month, but maybe not. So it's not my decision, it's yours.
No, it's inconsistent.
It is,
so
no, but I'm saying, like, that's not,
What did we decide last month?
30 minutes,
30
All right.
minutes, I think.
because it's an hour between the two of them.
between the
Yeah.
two.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
it's just inconsistent there. And then I think there was still a question at the end as to whether we wanted to accept written comments, but we would have to develop a process for that. So I'd say at this point, let's not add that to the policy, but that's something that maybe we could consider for the future.
In the future, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That was all I had on that. Thank you.
Perfect.
Could the inconsistencies be cleared up before the end of the month?
Absolutely.
Okay. Then I'm just going to keep it going with those recommendations in place.
Good catch.
Okay, Please say yes if you would like to move these policies forward.
Yes.
Yes. And yes. Under informational items, there are listed the ARs that are associated with policies that have passed, in addition to ARs that have been modified as well. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Is there any public comment? Okay, thank you. Our next meeting is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. I will adjourn the policy committee meeting at 8:56.